Honkai Star Rail's companion quests are awful. Or at least they're not significant enough to be worthy of being called companion quests. They're good as side quests, in my opinion. They're good as even slight bridges off of a main storyline quest that you can do if you want to optionally explore more stuff with that character before completing the main story of a world or specific section. But companion quests are the equivalents of Genshin's character quests, and Genshin is much better at character quests. Don't get me wrong, Genshin has some god-awful story quests, or some god-awful character quests I mean. Many of them are just about NPCs, and I'm understanding that people don't like that. Sure, I get that, I understand that, I vibe with you on that one, my guy. However, I completed companion quests in HSR without even noticing that it was a companion quest. And I understand on some metric you may think that's a great thing, and to a degree it is, because I'm not required to complete commissions or my daily activities to unlock a key to get that character quest. Cool, great, fine. Here's the downside. If I'm doing the quest and don't recognize that it's a character story quest, it is a bad quest for that character. See, in Genshin, whether it's just a bunch of dialogue or not, the character quests are centered around something to do with that character. Whether they play a minor role or a major role, it at least incentivizes you to explore or do it because it relates to them. Yelan's entire character quest was about her finding an individual to replace an open seat within Liyue's political house. Did the position have anything directly to do with her? No, but it was her job to vet the individuals, so you got to learn a little bit more about how she works and how she looks at people, and you got to learn about her relationship with the individual who she's finding a replacement for. It was a good quest line, but even if we're going away from that route, and we want to explore some of the better ones, which are usually the Archon story quests, those are usually directly featuring the Archons the entire time, which is fine. They're the most important characters per region, great. HSR doesn't necessarily do that because yeah, you don't unlock it, so you don't actively decide, hey, I want to do Clara's, or I want to do Yanqing's, or Wellets, or anyone's like that, which is fine on one hand, great, cool, I understand that. The downside is, if I can't tell I'm doing this character-specific quest, I don't feel like I'm doing it, and therefore don't feel like I'm learning about this character quest. I like Clara a lot. Guess who I didn't know I was doing the quest for? Clara. I did that ages ago. I like Arlen. He's hot, he's cute, he's breedable, and I did his entire quest without knowing it. And yeah, I can fully say that one's on me. You know what? I should have noticed it. But here's the thing. If the quests aren't significant enough, aren't impactful enough, and aren't really well thought out and written enough to actively feel like I'm sitting down and I'm doing something related to one character for a set amount of time, or at least two characters for a set amount of time, it's not good. Part 1 and Part 2 should feel different. Part 2 shouldn't just be a continuation of Part 1. If you're going to have it be in a similar vein of Part 1 and Part 2, it's Genshin Part 1 and Part 2, have each of them explore different aspects of a character. For instance, as much as people hate it, Genshin had Raiden's quest Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 was about her leaving the isolation she previously kept herself in, which was fine. I didn't like it because I didn't like the way it portrayed her within the first half of that section of the Archon quest. The second section in it, the second part to Part 1, was nice. Part 2 dealt with an entirely different aspect, which is more about her coming to terms with the actions she did in the past, but subsequently also dealing with the loss of her sister. It was great. You got an elaboration on her past and someone who was significant to her. That was fine. Even excluding the boss you got at the end, it was fine. If I'm doing characters who I legitimately enjoy, I'm doing their quests, I should feel like I'm learning about them, or I should feel like it's at least a fun time with them. I got to run around with Clara for a few seconds, and yeah, they visited the Astral Express, but I'm gonna be honest, that's just a nice thing to have. It doesn't mean anything to me as a player. It would be different if maybe you did that quest line and you got something like a phone wallpaper, or they got a special icon in your message, or maybe the icon in the menu changed, cool. But if the quest lines don't feel significant enough, it's not good. If the characters don't feel significant enough in the world itself, it's not good. Because HSR doesn't develop a lot of the characters. You get maybe 5 to 10 minutes at most with one character before a new one gets introduced before you're on to the next world in total. Bronya's entire thing was her mom died and we just moved on like nothing happened. And yeah, I can understand, hey, there's a secondary quest to where, you could interact with her. Cool beans, that's fine. Whatever. What I mean is, within the context of the main story, Bronya got barely any development, as did Sealy. They had that stupid scene where they tried to reconcile because they both went to the same orphanage, which didn't mean anything. Hook didn't get much development. Clara didn't get much development. Nobody got much meaningful development to where you can say they're an actual character. They pop in, they pop out, and you're on to the next world, and likely you won't see them again until you come back for an event or for a second brief portion of an interlude quest. And that is my issue with HSR. The worlds being so far apart makes it so difficult to have characters meaningfully interact with one another. There is a very low chance to where you're going to see a character you enjoy from one world onto the next if they don't have the ability to travel, or if it is not an event. And I understand that is fine to a degree, because that doesn't happen in Genshin. But here's the downside. In Genshin, if we're comparing the two, you at least get the option of sometimes a character like Charlotte will visit Lyra for Lantern Rite. Sometimes a character may visit Inazuma for the Iridori Festival, or the Wimbloom Festival in Mondstadt. And because it is all contained within the same world, the same realm, the same reality, you can have each of the 7 nations have a different vibe, culture, enemies, combatants, music, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when a festival comes around, an event comes around, or even plus significant points, like maybe a Archon quest comes around, you can have guest appearances from individuals who chime in to this nation because they're visiting. And what that means is it makes people feel like they aren't just static and stuck within the confines of the quest they were in, they can pop in and out here and there. Lantern Rite was a Lyra-focused event. You had pretty much the entire Lyra cast, then subsequently you had individuals from Fontaine, the newly released area, pop in. Windbloom had a bunch of characters from different regions. You even had the most recent Lyra event have Mondstadt characters and Sumeru characters pop in. It means that what you can do is have characters just say they took a boat on a vacation and bam, now they're here. HSR doesn't have that. And so if I'm not getting my characters properly developed, if I'm not getting the characters developed in the story, and the worlds being separated means I can't see these characters again unless some unlikely event happens to where they travel, and considering Eurillo 6 is in debt, it means that the likelihood of me finding and learning more about a character I enjoy is very low. I sim for HoYoverse. Guess who I'm not going to see for a very long time? Her. You can say she had an event, but guess what? If she's not in anything after that, it doesn't matter. Same thing with Clara. Same thing with Yanqing, with Arlen. And so for me, HSR has terrible writing and storytelling. It's made around the hype moments, and the hype moments are really just carried by music. And if you want good music, just go play Arknights. Just go play any other gacha game. Go play Blue Archive. It has better writing, better storytelling, better music, and at least the dialogue isn't 82 pages long. Subscribe and I'll see you next time.